speak tonight?
Yeah.
If you would, I'd like you to fill out one of these forms and turn it in for public. Thank you. You bet. What else? Just in case. Fill them out. Yeah, fill it out and then turn it in to me and get it started soon.
You're totally fine.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, he's putting your last
Go. Bring them to me. When you fill it out, bring them to me. All right, let's call the meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I. All right, board, you have an agenda in front of you. There will be a couple changes. We'll remove Ethan Knable from the workers' comp, and we'll also remove action item K from this evening's agenda, which is the bus contract. So with those two removals, I'll entertain a motion to approve the contract, or the agenda as noted in a minute. First?
Second.
And a second? All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
We have an agenda. All right, that moves us into the comments from the public. If anybody else who has not turned a card in wants to turn one in to me, if you're planning to speak. All right. So the way we do public comment here, after you turn a card in, we do 30 minutes total time, giving each speaker 3 minutes of total time to talk, right? So we'll go through these cards. I'll just ask them as they go through just to come forward and just stand here and speak to us your piece. Anything else you want to know? 30 minutes max, 3 minutes each individual. All right, I will start with Annie. Do you want to go first?
Sure. I do know Mrs. Lang has a commitment. I don't know if she needs to go for timing purposes, and she turned in a.
Man.
Okay. Yeah, we can go first.
Okay.
I have the high school has a concert and I have to go play.
Okay.
Thank you, Amy. Stand here.
Sure. That's fine.
Okay.
Joy, you might not want to stand right there. The camera's right there.
Yeah.
I was looking out for you.
Thank you, Mr. Woods. Okay. I think you all know me. My name is Joy Lang. And if not, if you don't know, I retired this year after teaching music here for 40 years. For most of those years, I taught piano lessons in my classroom. I always asked each superintendent if it was okay, and most times I was thanked for offering the service to the kids. Sorry, I'm moving the machine. And even taught some of their children, as well as some of yours. This year was different, however. I was no longer a teacher in the district. I obviously no longer have my own classroom. I asked our then new activities director, Mr. Shane, about teaching at the school. He got back to me later and said I needed to sign an agreement and pay a fee, which I did. On Tuesday, January 13th, 12 o'clock, I received an email from one of my students' parents. He asked if I was going to give lessons that day. I responded with, why wouldn't I? He told me the staff had received an email from Mr. Shea that activities not part of the school day would be temporarily halted due to violation of policy. I told them I had not received that email and would call Mr. Height. Mr. Height forwarded the email to me and I asked him about the situation. I obviously contacted my students and have not given lessons since then. Taking piano lessons has many advantages. Improved memory, enhanced math skills, better reading comprehension, emotional benefits, including stress relief, boosted self-esteem, etc. Playing piano also provides an unplugged outlet and entertainment. In this day and age, when many young people are addicted to screens, piano gets them off screens and helps them build confidence. If I lived in Lennox, I would teach in Lennox, but living in the country makes it difficult for students to get there after school, since most parents are still working. Most of my students would walk straight from school to the kids are home. Last Saturday, I attended the South Dakota Middle School class jazz band concert where one of my students, Carly Abney, played piano. Her audition received the top score in the state. Obviously, not everyone practices as much as Carly, but playing piano does have advantages to everyone who plays. I have not raised my rates for several years. I pay income tax as well as sales tax on my income. My own children took lessons, and we paid, back then, more for lessons than I charge now. If you ask members of the current music department, they will tell you I'm still very active in the music program as much as I can be in my retirement. Currently, I'm working with Mr. Covey to accompany students for solo and ensemble contest, which is Wednesday. Mr. Larson, the intermediate music teacher, and myself have a good working relationship. He has been very gracious to allow me to use his room and his piano. My current piano students are showing great progression, and I would like to be able to continue supporting them. I am continually being sought out to give lessons to more children. I encourage you to allow piano lessons to be taught in the Lennox School. Thank you for your time and consideration.
And typically we won't comment back during public speaking period.
Oh, excuse me?
I'm sorry, Ms. Lane. Typically we don't comment back. It's
No,
your
I
time to
understand.
speak, but I promise you there's a resolution here somewhere that we will all work together to find. So. Okay? All right, I'll keep going. Next one is Annie, you wanna go ahead?
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to address you all tonight. My name is Annie Hoffman. I live here in Lennox with my husband and our two kiddos. They're here today. My son is a 4th grader at Lennox Elementary, and my daughter is a 1st grader. And I'm here tonight to speak in support of Mrs. Lang and in support of amendments to policy 3014 that would allow her to continue teaching here at the school after school hours. My son, Philip, who's a 4th grader, began taking lessons with Mrs. Lang last summer outside of school hours in a room across the street that is not otherwise being used. I am in a household with 2 working parents. We both work in Sioux Falls, and so it's a really helpful setup that during the summer he can just walk over from Totally Kids and walk back. During the school year he can walk across the street and walk back with our permission. My understanding is that Mrs. Lang has been operating since her retirement under some sort of written agreement or arrangement with the district, and that she did pay a fee in order to be able to do this. Mrs. Lang talked about the sudden disruption that happened last month, the short notice. All of a sudden, oh, we can't do piano lessons until further notice. It was pretty disruptive to all these kids, not just my son, but certainly all the kids who are used to that weekly contact with Mrs. Lang. So I took a look at policy 3014, which I understand is implicated here. And I do know that in paragraph 2A, it talks about school facilities may be used by various education and community organizations and individuals when it is in the interest of the general public. And 2B talks about how school facilities may not be used for personal profit and other commercial purposes. Now, I don't know, just as a parent of a piano kid, I don't know the genesis of how this came to be, whether it was a complaint against Mrs. Lang or someone else who's got some sort of other arrangement with the school district. But I would encourage the board to consider an amendment to this policy that allows the superintendent and the board to be able to exercise some discretion and consider the benefit to the students in the community. I mean, as I look at policy 3014, paragraph 2, the heading is General Facilities Use Guidelines. The use of the word guidelines certainly suggests discretion be exercised. 2A talks about in the interest of the general public. I think in our community, which is a small community, we are blessed with strong community support, not only of our kids in athletics, but our kids in fine arts. We have tremendous fine arts programs that have experienced a lot of success. I think it's good for kids to be able to learn how to play basketball as a supplement to their physical education that they receive in school. It's also good for kids to be able to take music lessons, piano lessons. Sure. I'm sorry.
3 minutes. That's
Okay.
3 minutes.
Can I get 1 more minute just to wrap up, please? I'm sorry.
I don't want to go through, yeah.
But I would just say that, if I might, just a proposed amendment to consider. Because I think using the phrase personal profit and other commercial purposes, Mrs. Lang, while she does charge for lessons, it's an incredibly reasonable fee. You'd be hard pressed to find that sort of fee anywhere else. And she's not doing this for a commercial purpose. She's not setting up some sort of pop-up shop where she sells Usborne books or candles or boutique clothes. She's using this as a public good to teach kids in our community as a supplement to their music education. So I know I'm over and I appreciate your indulgence, but I would just please ask the board to consider some sort of amendment to that policy that allows you to consider this on a personalized, individualized, case-by-case basis, considering the totality of the circumstances and the public good that it serves. Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right, Christian Kingsbury.
Hi, my name's Christine Kingsbury, and I live here in Lennox with my husband and our 2 kids. We have an 8th grader, Levi, and a 6th grader, Kiana. They have both taken piano lessons from Mrs. Lang. Levi doesn't anymore, but Kiana still does. And I feel like Annie made a lot of really good points, and I'm just going to go with a little bit of a different direction. As a kid, I took piano lessons, and it was terrible. My piano teacher was not actually a teacher. She was just somebody who knew how to play the piano, and so decided like, oh, hey, I'll teach piano lessons. And it didn't go well. She didn't really know how to teach someone else to play the piano just because she knew how to play the piano herself. And so I was so glad when I found out that Mrs. Lang teaches piano lessons. I said, oh, she's going to know what she's doing. Not only does she know how to play the piano, but she knows how to teach people because she's a teacher. And so I would like to just ask you to consider to let her to continue teaching lessons here. It's beneficial for the students. They're getting piano lessons from someone who actually knows how to teach and also obviously appreciates and loves music and can instill that in them as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next I have Al.
Excuse me, I'm not very good at public speaking. I made some notes here. I'm gonna try not to read through them, but I would like to, some of you here know me. Pretty involved in the music program in the high school. Statistics show the benefit for the band program for students. Lennox doesn't have a program that starts at a really young age for the music, for the band department. Miss Lang has done wonderful things for the program. She's been doing this for 40 years. She's using a small area in the school that I really doubt is being used otherwise. It's outside school hours. Really hard to top what Miss Annie said there, but Just the statistics show that the benefits for our youth in school in general, in math, English, science, SATs, general education, brain development, IQ, they top their peers like crazy in that department. Not to say anything bad about athletics, because I think athletics is a great thing too, but I really think that the music development really benefits our kids. You know, I've known Mrs. Lang for ever. She's been here for, yeah, pretty much ever. You know, I really don't think she has any terrorist connections or anything like that, so I don't have to worry about that department. But, you know, I think she does a really good job. I don't think her, I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for. I don't know that she's not looking for a profit benefit from this. She's looking at continuing to educate our kids in the music department and help them succeed. Personally, I don't get into all the legal side of things and how things work or why they work. As far as you know, we can't do this thing for profit or whatever. You know, I don't get that. What I know is that she's doing a really fine job at what she does, and she has for many years. And now she's trying to continue to do that. And I just really think that it would be in the best interest of the school district overall to consider. Thank you.
Heather?
Hi, I'm Heather Aesop. I have 4 kids here in Lennox School District, ranging in age from 4th grade up to sophomore. I think that with this policy, the use of district facilities, and Mrs. Lang is just trying to use one small little room in the school. And I know this expands further than just that one little room. It's going to be the Performing Arts Center that we built, like the use of that as well. So I think that if we nitpick this one little thing, then also that Performing Arts Center that all of our tax dollars and everything have gone into spending to pay for that. I think that's going to shorten the usage of that as well. I know that we're not the only school district that has a Performing Arts Center. My kids have also been involved in dance, so I know that they also like T, Harrisburg, they have those Performing Arts Centers, and they allow outside venues to come in and use them for a fee. Like our dance studio went to Harrisburg to do our performance, and we paid for the Performing Arts Center for the day. I don't know if that's something that could be feasible or put into it as well with that amendment of usage. Like you said, she paid a small fee. I don't know if you mentioned that she had paid a small fee to be able to use that room. I don't know. I don't really have a lot to say. I just think arts are really, really good for the kids. We have these fantastic facilities now that we should let our community members be part of and use. Yeah, that's really all I have to say, not a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And Michelle? Last one?
Wait, I'm Michelle, but am I up next?
Yeah.
Oh, no one else wants to talk about it?
No, that's the last card I have. It's you.
Okay. Well, I'm Michelle Bittner. My kids go to school here. I have a freshman and a junior. And I'm just here to talk about the starting date for the next school year. It would be really nice if it could stay as, the graduation date could stay on the day it always is, Mother's Day weekend. And I know that there's like financial reasons, there's dates that have to be, there's so many days in the school year, but when we mess up everybody's world because the Turner County Fair didn't get the right carnival for their dates, I don't know how you're gonna look at that. I mean, I know that there's probably an agenda tonight that you're looking at and if you're gonna okay it, but you know, if we start later, then our kids get out of school later, then the year or the next year the kids get one less week of summer vacation. It's just, it'd be nice if you could figure out how to do it. I mean, if the parent or the teachers are doing teacher in service, the 3 days, maybe they usually do it, put the open house in one of those days. The whole next week is empty, and then they start school. Like, that just doesn't make a lot of sense. You know, I mean, have open house on a Friday. If you're gonna have open house from 1 to 3, no one's gonna come, no one's gonna get out of work. So, I don't know. I would just really like you to look at that, and there are a lot of people that don't want it changed that I've talked to, so, I don't know. I mean, if there's any other way. Can you take away Easter Monday break? Do kids need that? Can you have Christmas break go for 2 weeks, but then like propose to take 2 weeks off that, 2 days off that whole week, the 2 weeks they usually have? I mean, I think there's days where we can wiggle around that we can make up 3 days. Start school on Friday, the week that they usually start. I mean, I think there's other ways, but I guess that's what I'm here for. So hopefully you can look at that, and hopefully our kids can graduate on Mother's Day weekend.
Thank you. All right, that ends the cards that I have this evening, so I don't think there's any other public comments for this evening. We'll move on then to agenda number 4, which is recognition of school board members.
So I gave all of you a certificate, and then I also have the executive proclamation from the governor that I put that with your certificate. Next week is School Board Appreciation Week, and it's always nice. I think we have the kids with lots of cards, and there's posters, and I just want you guys to know that you are appreciated for what you do.
It's always fun to get those and say another year has gone by.
Feels like we just got them.
Yeah, I know, doesn't it?
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, Ward. All right, then we'll move on to communication items. We'll start specifically with any board member or committee updates to bring forward. All right, hearing none, then I'll move on to superintendent's report.
Let's see, I printed off, there's 104 education bills that have been proposed in Pier. Some have passed and waiting to be signed by the governor. Currently, there was 49 Senate bills and 55 House bills. Now we're down to 37 bills still active in the Senate and 36 bills still active in the House. Of those, 12 are supported by education. So that's 16% of those bills that are still active are being supported by public education. The rest of them are all bills that we're gonna have to kill. So we need everybody to be active and get out and speak your piece. I was out there Tuesday night, Wednesday, and Thursday, and it was very frustrating. You could cut the tension with a knife in Pier right now because there's such a division in the parties. It's a very, very different fight. So I know there was a bill out there regarding opt-outs that got killed, but then another one was dropped the next day to amend some different things. So it's as fast as we get things killed, they're coming right back. So they can't drop any more bills now. So what's out there is out there. For an operation that doesn't want control, they sure dropped. I think they dropped a record number of bills in Pier this year, which is very interesting to me. So either way, we'll continue to work through it. I attended the Cracker Barrel on the 31st of January. There's another one coming up this weekend, maybe, in camp. So they're all over, and we'll continue to push those things. Thanks to Board Member Butler, he alerted me to Sioux Falls School District did a reunification drill. So we took 6 of us down to that, and it was actually very good. I'm glad we went. It kind of opened up our eyes to some things that we need to get fixed on our side. Got a chance to talk about processes and it was fun to watch it in action, so thank you for getting us lined up for that, I appreciate it, so. We have conferences coming up Thursday night, and then I put board equalization meetings on, I give you a copy of those. We'll have to appoint members next month for those meetings, so just so you're a heads up that there's quite a few of them out there, so. And then last Friday, Angela, board president Sandra and myself met with Nielsen Construction. They're in the process, if you come out on Highway 42, you're gonna kind of come down that hill past the Ellis Road. Off on the left side, there's some construction going on there. They're gonna put 300 homes in there, and that falls in our district. So, that's a conversation we're gonna have to kind of keep on the forefront as they do that. We made it clear that we were not going to trade land with Sioux Falls or, create some formula and collect money. We'll work to keep that in our district and get what the future holds. So, which is good growth. Sounds like most of the growth now is gonna have to come west because everything to the south and the east is moving. So, we will continue to kind of monitor that as it goes. So, other than that, it's been obviously busy. I spent a lot of time listening to Senate and House Ed and lots of committee things, so it's something. It's tough to decipher because they're bouncing things all in so many different directions right now. So we probably won't know about school funding probably until like the last couple of days. But there is an appetite for some money. Doesn't sound like there'll be much, but it's better than zero.
Thanks for keeping us up to date on that.
Yeah.
That's a lot, so.
Yeah, and I try to get you our lobbyist report every week, just so you can read through that, and she does a really good job.
That's a good report.
That's what I got for you.
Any additional questions or comments?
How do you think that people are heard the best when they're trying to reach out to their?
Email is probably your best way to communicate. I've gotten good responses back from people that, they're pretty dope. If it's something that they're set against, they're not gonna email you back. And if you have questions, you just email me and I'll tell you. How things kind of sit. Most things are getting killed on the House floor. It's getting through the Senate, getting through House Ed, and it ends up on the floor, and that's where it's getting killed. So, pretty interesting.
They did make the record?
I think the record, and I think that you're up to most schools.
Alright, thank you.
Yeah.
Alright, we'll move on to, principal and director's report. Who wants to go first?
Elementary schools. Where's my buddy here?
Slow. All right. In the area of academic excellence, both of our schools met with the representatives from Solution Tree at our in-service on January 19th. We were able to make some adjustments to our WIN groups, and we feel like we're making good progress in meeting the needs of our students through small group interventions.
And just to build on that, we're using that NWEA and the ICA data that we've been collecting over us to continue to refine our groups and keep where they need to be. And then part of our professional development was this AI training. It offered a bunch of different platforms you can kind of use. So we've been challenging our staff to try 3 different AI platforms, I guess might be the right word, and then get back to us, and then from that they're able to earn Gene's days and stuff like that just for trying it out. We figured the hardest part is getting them to actually do it for the first time, because once they do that, they see the benefit and all those things. So, yeah. We stole that idea from Mr. Ike, so he tells you about it later. That's what we got.
In the area of school climate, for Worthing Elementary, we went on a one book, one school adventure. The whole school listened to and followed along with the same book. A copy of How to Steal a Dog by Barbara O'Connor was purchased by our parent group for every student. Teachers recorded themselves reading a portion of the book, and then the classrooms played it when it worked for them in their class, usually during snack time. The entire school had fun meeting and learning with the characters in the book, even though the book title is called How to Steal a Dog, which sounds like it would be a bad book. There are a lot of really good things that came out of it, we learned a lot about empathy, honesty, resilience, and problem solving. Along with reading the book, teachers handed out positive notes, kind of like a caught being good. When they catch students doing something good, they get this paw. And we also took donations for Kind Kitchens, which is a local nonprofit that's housed in Worthing. So Kind Kitchens asked for specific items to be donated so that they could make meal kits to just hand out to families in need. For the 4 weeks that we did it, we collected 352 items, and with those, 53 complete meals were able to be made. So it was really amazing, and the fourth graders helped us put the bags together and organize the different ingredients. So, and there's a lot of leftover ingredients that they can use too for other meal kits that they'll be making. On the very last chapter, we all met in the library and had a live reading. It was really fun. The kids had a blast.
Lennox Elementary, we have a couple things here. We continued our Caught Being Good or on the Spotlight, just recognizing positive behavior in kids. Our Wellness Committee is hosting a bingo game for staff that encourages healthy choices. That's district-wide. And then we have had quite a few kids out sick lately, but we're getting a hold on it. We've been spraying down lockers and things like that, so we're seeing our attendance lessen, or less kids are out sick. Yeah.
In the area of community engagement, we're gearing up for conferences later this week, and we're looking forward to collaborating with those families. At Worthing, our PTT group hosted a family fun night this last Friday. There was bingo, a craft, snacks, open gym, and a movie, and there was a lot of families that came and enjoyed that night at the school. And then we're also hosting a fundraiser next week at the basketball game against Spearsford. Our 3rd and 4th graders will sing the national anthem, and then we'll do a duck toss during the halftime of the girls' basketball game.
And USD dental students came in to clean people's teeth.
So other than earning Jeans Day, what is the goal or the hope of the outcome of having them play with some of the different?
So when we went over, we've seen it before, like we'll do this cool AI training, everybody's like, that is so awesome, and they all leave and we're all jacked up on AI, and then we get back to work the next day and it's like, I got stuff to do, I don't have time to like work on that. So the idea is if we can bribe them, motivate them to try it, incentivize
them.
they'll realize that it actually saves them time. I've gotten 3 back so far, and it's interesting because some of them will be like, honestly, I didn't like this one or I like that one. I liked it for this, but not for that. So just, as you all know, once you try something, you're much more likely to actually use it. So.
Are the platforms that you're trying, are they free for a trial or?
It depends. We sent them out 12 of them. All of them kind of have a trial. That's some of the complaints that we've heard. Like, I like this one, but it want them to start charging me because it said I take too much.
Yeah, like the kid cuts you off after so much.
Exactly. So some of them, they'll go, I really like this one because I figured out that I could get a free account through this. Or I like the way that this IEP was written, but not the way this one was written. And this one I had to type in a lot more, but this one kind of understood what I was saying. So again, it's just trial and error, and they have to do that work in order to know what they like.
So I'm going to piggyback off of that a little bit. There are some, I don't know, I'm sure, Scott, you've heard some of these, but there's just different sites that we've heard of. CuriPod is one. Suno is another one where you can create music, a song, based on content. So there's just a lot of different things out there that we didn't know about that we now kind of know about. We do have a paid subscription to Magic School. I know that our intermediate staff have used that a lot. With the EL students that we have, our EL teacher has used that to differentiate instruction, especially out to high school. Junior high staff are using that now, so it's all under, like, we have to have one username, so it's under my name and a generic password. But we have a lot of people using Magic School just to meet the needs of the students. That's the paid version. We have a lot of different ways to use that. The other ones is trial and error right now. And the genes, like what motivates teachers more than anything, it's definitely genes. So actually on February 25th, our staff, we're going to go through and we're going to actually teach the lesson, give the assessment, tell ways on how we use a different site. And their goal is to use all 12 of them. So we get an idea of what the differences are between them. That's what we're doing in the building that I'm in. So continuing with that, at the intermediate is we also had an opening ceremonies for the Winter Olympics. They started on Friday. So we had opening ceremonies at the intermediate where we used some of our the power that the teachers have of their own kids in high school. We brought them to the intermediate, and they did the carrying of the torch, fake torch, and then Eric ended it, and he disappeared, and we just told the kids, since the big curry pot was going to be lit Friday night, that he was going to go off and hand it off to somebody else to go to Italy to light it. So, but what we are doing is we are giving out gold, silver, and bronze medals for students, depending on how they do. We call them Standards Mastery. It's through a program that we call Exact Path. It's a personalized online program. With Standards Mastery, we can assess kids on their knowledge on all the content at South Dakota Standards in reading and math. So that's what we do every morning now for the next 2 weeks during our win time, is they're spread out throughout the whole building. On a given day that we use win, we utilize 14 people. We utilize 6 for 5th grade, and we utilize 8 for 6th grade. But now we're combining them all together, so kids, when they take their Standards Mastery, let's say with me, if they prove that they got an 80, 90, or 100%, I give them a medal, they tape it up on the board, and then they go to a new teacher with a new Standards Mastery. So hopefully, within the next 2 weeks, they're able to get 8 different standards mastered according to this program in the next 8 days that we do it. So we're doing the Winter Olympics at intermediate. We also brought in showplace cabinetry for 6th grade math with Mr. Hale. He's teaching students on volume, area, and surface area. So they were able to come in and kind of talk about how they do their drawings to make cabinets for whatever the room might be. So we brought them in. We greatly appreciate that. I know that Cody and Amanda talked a little bit about professional development on the 19th, just hitting on that. Dr. David DeYoung from DSU was the AI guy. Josh Ray from Solution Tree. He was kind of our WIN small group. How are you looking at the data? What are you doing with the data guy? And getting back with our PD committee, the small groups and the rotations that we had was greatly appreciated instead of everybody in one big room. And the lunch was provided. I want to give props to Security Bank because they're always willing to provide lunch for us, so greatly appreciate that. So other part of my position is with upcoming assessments, taking part in a lot of ACT webinars, just because we are going to be hosting here at the end of March for our juniors. So myself and Mr. Bresky are watching a lot of those, get together, talk about it. We pinpointed our teachers who will be giving that assessment, and they are now going to have to go through some training so that way they are ready, so they know what to do post-test, during the test, and pre-test, during test, and post-test. So that's coming up quickly. And then with our Smarter Balance for our 3 through 8 students, there will be a training that I go to at the end of the month, and then we'll be talking to the teachers about that. So a lot of stuff going on. Questions?
Thank you.
Hello. Along with some of you, I also attended the Cracker Barrel that was here. I also attended SASD Delegate Assembly last week, Tuesday, Wednesday. Some of the bills I'm paying attention to are the Senate Bill 106 and House Bill 1098, which involves special education, so the extraordinary cost fund, and then just fed funding. So far, everything's passed in appropriations. So the Senate bill passed in appropriations, and so did the House bill. Yeah, and then we had the dial screen not too long ago. I think I talked about it before, but we ended up screening 15 kids for our child find ages 3 to 5. Any other questions for me?
All right, so I have a little presentation to show you. But first, as they were talking about how we're working with our teachers to use AI to make to improve efficiency. Our students in high school have an opportunity to take that a step further. So in order for AI to work like it does, it takes a lot of huge amounts of data, lots of processing, computational power, and speed. And where do we get that? We get that from a data center. So you've heard data centers in the news lately, and what about data centers in South Dakota? Our students and we're going to partner with the city of Lennox to do a study It's a feasibility study. We're going to work with Mr. Sandel as well, and we're going to look at, could Lennox have a data center of its own here? What does that look like? What kind of power does it need? What kind of infrastructure does a data center need? What kind of revenue could that bring into a city like Lennox? How big could that data center be? So looking at all of those types of things, could Lennox have that here? And then we would report back to the city our findings. This is a great opportunity for our students to kind of apply everything that they've learned throughout high school, whether it's research or public speaking. They can apply their science, environmental science, their biology, water usage, all of that. Can I add anything else to go over?
I can just say, we're categorized really into three things, which is your infrastructure availability within the community, which is going to be your electrical, your water, your fiber, natural gas, those things. So category one. Category two is community and politics. Like, what is reasonable within Lennox to have a facility here? What would it look like? What zoning needs to put in place? And what does the community have to say about it in general? Because there's a lot of hot topics right around that. And then last is commercials. So if we look at both of those things, it's true that, yeah, we can put a building here, and we can, the community is willing to say 5, 10, 20 meg, whatever the size of the building is. Who would do it, right? Is there a company out there that would come construct it here and put one up and then pay the taxes, which ultimately hopefully come back to the school is the ultimate goal, right? Is to raise revenue in our communities so we don't have to take it from citizens. So that's the three kind of categories that we're breaking this feasibility down into that we'll give to the city of Lennox when we're all done. I think we had about 22 kids show up with interest. We're going to have our next meeting this coming Wednesday and finalize what and whom are going into which one of those groups for research. So, should be a fun project. I look forward to it.
And it was really fun when we started to take it into terms of what our students were familiar with, like their gaming systems. And then if you just keep expanding that out, that's what these data centers are. So like 200,000 gaming systems is like one cabinet.
Any questions on that from any board? On the opportunity or what we're doing with students?
No.
Just reach out to me if you do.
They might want that.
Or Mr. Allison.
While we get the remote, I'll keep going on with mine.
It's like Becky said.
Oh.
Becky has it?
Yours.
All right, so we have, like we said, we have parent-teacher conferences coming up this Thursday. I'll also be doing a presentation to 8th grade parents as they prepare for their students to enter high school. Basically, we'll go through the classes that 8th graders need to be prepared to register for in high school, and it's just an introductory to it. Our counselor, high school counselor, and I will walk students through that when they do register, but if you want more information about those classes and the different classes that we offer, well, that'll be the night that we'll do that. That's at 6 o'clock on Thursday night in the cafeteria. Mr. Shade and I have been working on a digital record board display. It was in kind of a discussion phase for a while. And this is kind of the first look at what it will be. And this is going to be something that is expandable, interactive. We'll have a TV at in the new lobby. So you'll be able to click on this. A lot of our record boards now are kind of old. They don't show, they're very limited in terms of what activities you can see. And then we also have lots of alumni photos from classes from the past, and there's nowhere to hang those anymore. So we've been getting some pictures of those old class photos, so you'll be able to run through and take a look at these. But you'll be able to click on all of these as in a nice touch screen TV to do that. Athletics, all of our record boards. Well, we'll have a TV in the lobby, kind of like near the concession stand area. So.
Would it be a touch screen or something?
Yep. We're in the early stages of it. And like I said, it's expandable, so if we want to do Hall of Fame or something like that down the road, we can add all that into it as well. Any questions on that? Hopefully, by the time we get to the end of the year, we have more of this complete, and we have all the other records from all of our coaches that we can put out there. There would also be a link on the website, so you don't need to be at a game in order to see all of this. You'll be able to access it from anywhere. Our one-act play, we had state on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so I was able to attend portions of that, and as a member of the board of the Activity Association, I was able to hand out awards. So that was kind of fun on Saturday, but our group did a very nice job. After winning our regions, which we hosted here a couple weeks ago, they competed on Thursday, or they performed on Thursday. We ended up winning awards for tech crew and some individual actors, Isaiah Saylor, Miriam Welch, Isaac Booker, and Ariana Poppins, who were recognized for their acting. So they did a great job. And if you've never been to a state one-act play, you need to consider going, because there's some amazing performances there. I was blown away. So, and it's free to go to, so you can go see any of it. There's 3 full days worth of plays that you can go to. So, but they did an excellent job. And then, as a part of our semester of work, so we do about monthly. We'll visit or have a guest speaker come in. This month we're going to Showplace. We're going to have students go on a tour. That's coming up on Wednesday, looking at making sure our students see the different career opportunities and internship opportunities they have to offer at Showplace. Questions?
By developing that PowerPoint there, it saved the district about $3,000 because we did farm it out, and so it saved us a lot of money, so thank you.
And paving my daily work.
And got his daily rate.
That's cool idea.
Yeah, actually. You get a Gene Day.
He actually put a lot of night hours. He sent it to me at like 10 o'clock at night, and I said, this is unlike you. It's usually past your bedtime. He's doing a lot of hours. But yeah, it saves the district. I've looked into some groups about if we could do something, sell TV, and they would do a lot of platforms. So this saves a lot of money, and then just the yearly stuff of paying for it. And then we can just update it. Those record boards, getting the little numbers is really, letters, is really, really hard to do. And it's hard to update, and it doesn't really showcase kids now with our new lobby. So this will be an easy way to update, and again, we can add it to our website. We can send it out, people can see it. And again, we can add more stuff to it. So that's kind of a cool thing to add from an activity standpoint. Another thing with activities, Mr. Alton did ask me to talk about one-act play. He got to do all the glory with working with the state out there. But our group did really well for being the first Class A group. They kind of had the pressure of going first, and they kind of had to overcome some adversity too. Our bus broke down by T. So they had to bring another bus to come get them and then get them on. But big shout out to Brandon and Bill out there, their AD. He let us actually come and bring all our props the day before. And I reached out to him and they said, hey, Christy, I'll reach out and see if they'll shoot us. I didn't even think about that. So we were able to get all our stuff out there the day before, and that really helps that transition piece. Because one act play is basically one group comes, sets up, boom, and then you're out, and then you're unloading stuff, and you're taking it back to school. So it's a big, basically organized day of disorganization, I feel like, too. But our kids did a great job. I think if they would have maybe been placed in the middle of their end, maybe they would have placed higher, but it's kind of hard to be that first team that goes and kind of set the bar, and they did set a really good bar. And what I like about what our group did is our group made it really funny. So the crowd engagement, you would say, Mr. Allison, was one of the better ones there. And it's cool to see all these other teams laugh about what our kids are doing. And I think that's an important thing about the one act play that's really powerful. Debate's been doing really well. They just went to Roosevelt, and now they'll be at Harrisburg this weekend. And we got choir and Colby kind of doing like a practice run today so the kids can see how they perform before they get going with their real shows coming up. So it's a nice practice run in front of an audience tonight. And not much we've had a lot of basketball the last few weeks. Girls kind of get a week off because this is a tough week to schedule because of conferences on Thursday. Junior high played today against Del Rapids. They'll play again tomorrow against Tri-Valley, the boys. On Friday, we kind of get a special event. We're going to be hosted by USD against Pine Ridge. So that'll be a fun event. USD has been very accommodating with what we need. We'll see how Mr. Allison sings the national anthem down there. He's pretty good at that. We'll see how he does down there. Orville will get to announce the game still, so that's really cool to put him in an environment like that. One thing about it is it'll be $5 per person, just so people are aware that our activity passes and everything won't work down there. But I was able to get it for that $5 rate versus it being expensive, like showing up for a normal college game down there. And then next week, we'll really get rocking and rolling because we have 2 doubleheaders, Tuesday, Thursday. And then on Saturday, we're actually going to host the 7th grade junior high conference basketball tournament. It was supposed to be at Tri-Valley. They had to reschedule a boys game with Dakota Valley, so officiating, space, and all that. So just so it didn't get canceled, we took it on here at Lennox. So we want those kids to have an opportunity to compete to see if they're the best 7th grade team. So we'll have that Saturday. So if you want to come watch, we'll charge $5 for that just to help people to cover our officiating fee so we can come out even. And yeah, wrestling's going well. Ramsey Williams is back, is feeling good, and he's won a few tournaments. Grant Larson's doing really well. And they'll be coming up on regions here, not this week, but the following week we'll be going to regions and hopefully get a few people in the state. And then basketball now is the whole Seed Point thing to see how we do. And then the Performing Arts Center is just getting rocking and rolling with our groups. Now that one act play is done, could be a little bit more of the choir group, and then we'll have our junior high and intermediate, I think, band concert coming up here too soon. So it's just a cool environment for them to be at. And really showcase their talents that we have here. You guys have any questions for me regarding activities? Hopefully I'm doing a nice job of getting a lot of information out there. So the Facebook stuff, I've had a lot of good feedback. Instagram and Twitter, people appreciate all that information, stuff like that. So I'll keep doing that the best that I can.
And another 1,000-point player.
Yeah, Andy Peters got 1,000 points. Oh yeah, that's Mr. Allison, Riley.
Yeah, who tweeted that? Bill instantly was like,
It was actually really funny at the game, and then I joked around that Adam Quayle had his best timeout he could probably ever have, so she could be recognized. So that was a really cool thing too, and the Baltic community did a good job. Another thing I guess too that I think about is our Lennox fans have done a really good job at games, home games and away, because a good example was at the Baltic game. An official stopped the game to address a Baltic fan for going out of line. So sometimes if you see those constant reminders, that's just me being proactive. But our fans have done a really, really nice job. I think somebody, when they were up in Hamlin, they had to ask somebody to leave from Hamlin. And so nowadays, when it's so hard to find officials, our Lennox people are doing a really good job of how we treat our officials, whether it's at the junior high or at the high school level. So I appreciate that. That makes my job a little easier, and that makes people want to come back and officiate here. Because I have people asking for our schedules next year. Speaking of schedules for next year, we're already looking at what we're scheduling for basketball next year, and then volleyball is going to have a few different tournaments they're going to be attending. So this is one for Christian, so that's kind of exciting too. And football schedule maybe hopefully get released this week from the state. We had nothing to do with that. State handles all that. So yeah. So who knows? hopefully soon. Nebraska's going to release theirs. There's going to be a little bit of South Dakota games in there. So we'll see.
Thank you. I think that's everybody. I'm just gonna say for 9 years I've sat on the board, and tonight was probably the coolest night. I don't know if anybody noticed the child reading a book on
I love it.
That was awesome. That's the kind of pictures that just embed in my head, so moved me a little.
All right, we'll move on to the financial reports.
Not really have anything minus here to take. But I do want to point out that I'm no longer printing out the agenda with the numbers for you guys because everything is now linked. So if you hover over, you can just click on it and it'll go to the page that you want it to go to. And then otherwise there are additional bills on pages 39 through 62.
Did you use AI to do that?
I did not do it. Chelsea did it. I don't know how she figured it out. Yeah, you're not.
All right, and after you've had some time to review those additional bills, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda for this evening.
So moved.
First,
Second.
second, Peggy. All right, and the consent agenda is to approve, correct minutes of last meeting, financial report, and approved claims. Any questions or discussion on the consent agenda items this evening? All right, hearing none, let's vote.
Heidi?
Yes.
Renee? Yes. Nick?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Action item B is any conflicts of interest to disclose. Anybody have any this evening? Reported? All right, then we'll move on to action item C, which is to approve the 2026-2027 district calendar as presented. Move right into entertain a motion to approve. Okay. Okay, now we need questions or discussion on the calendar as proposed.
A lot of time has been put into this, and a lot of effort by many people, and I appreciate that. It's hard to make everybody happy. And it's hard.
I have 12 staff, so from paras to teachers to custodial sit on the leadership team with me to go through this. And then I had our entire admin team go through it, and we bounced many things around over the last 2 months. Yeah, it's unfortunate that the Turner County Fair got rolled back a week, but we also have staff that participate in that, and kids that participate in it, and it's a no-win situation no matter what we do, unfortunately. But it's not far off really where we are right now when we started, a couple of days difference.
What was the number of instructional days that we had again?
You have to have 960 just some date moves back, like for, I think the first quarter, we just rolled it back 1 week is all, just, so we had to go days. But not much from what I brought.
Mr. Shaw,
Yeah.
so that open house time for me, that changed from
Five,
five
it's
to
gonna be
seven.
5 to 7. Yep. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Like they're gonna do the open house from 5 to 7 in the high school instead of 1 to 3. I think that was what they were originally thinking. Otherwise, no, there isn't much change from that. There is a lot of time. Once again, you guys can make the decision if you wanna do things. I'm fine with it. Makes no difference to me. I gotta be here every day.
That open house is still the picture day, or is it different day?
Picture day is in the 4th of August.
Oh, I see.
And then the elementary are gonna run, they're gonna do like conferences right away. We felt like the parents needed more time with our teachers individually to start to reel off. And then when we have conferences in October, the high school will have conferences. The elementary are gonna call parents, check in, and make sure that, if there's things that they need help with, if they're struggling with. It's not like we can't meet with parents, we can meet with parents anytime if they wanna meet with us. That's why we're here, so.
And having it early like that is supposed to be kind of more of a meet and greet.
Meet and greet, get acclimated with the teacher, and we always feel like we rush them through during open house, and this would actually give them some time to work with teachers individually one-on-one. So they'd have dedicated time.
Okay. Any additional questions for discussion? Or any suggestions? All right, hearing none, let's vote.
Renee? Yes. Nick?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Heidi?
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to action item D, which is to approve the offering of the 2026-2027 administrative contracts. Those going to Chad Allison, Angela Arl, Darren Knight, Amanda Cruzy, Becky Kuiper, Cody Roots, and Laura Welch. And their appropriate areas.
This has no salary tied to it, it's just essentially.
Just to offer them a contract to come back, please.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any questions or discussion on these offered contracts? All right, let's vote.
Nick?
Yes.
Melissa?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Heidi?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
All right, action item E is to approve the offering of the 2026-2027 director contracts to Alex Jorgensen, Steve Cruzy, Cheryl Levador, Jeremy Wooden, Corey Robinson, and Casey Shade. Entertain a motion to offer those contracts.
So
We have a first?
Second.
And a second. Any questions or discussion on those contracts? All right, hearing none, let's vote.
Melissa?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Heidi?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Action item F is to approve the contract for Steve Hale, for junior high school boys basketball. Entertain a motion to approve that contract.
So moved.
Have a first
Second.
and a second. Any questions or discussion on that? All right, let's vote.
Scott?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Heidi?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
Nick? Melissa?
Yes.
All right, action item G is to amend policy 3014 and 3014.1, the use of district facilities. I'll entertain a motion to approve the amended policy as presented. We have a first. Second. Any questions or discussions or?
Have we
we essentially suspended everything, like, we wouldn't let anybody use the weight rooms, anything, just till we got through this amendment piece. And once we're done with that, then we'll go back and pick back up. It was just a temporary as well.
Yeah, the big part was we had the weight room piece in there that basically said any individual patrons can use the weight room. So that means anybody who wants to in our district could use our weight room. And there's a lot of liability situations when it comes to that. Also, it's a little bit vague when it says the personal profit. Well, what is that? And stuff like that. So we had to just kind of take a pause because again, it's not just Miss Lane thing. There's a lot of pieces to this that have been followed, and then it's more just me reviewing it and catching it and going, well, technically we could be in violation of a school board policy that's here. So that's kind of why we just had to stop everything when we had a chance to review it and follow through with all that. And this new guideline kind of gives us some ways to function and continue some stuff, but also with some district oversight too, because we want to make sure that we are transparent with how we're using our facilities. Because again, they are the taxpayers. And then we had to add too the Performing Arts Center in there. That wasn't in here. High school auxiliary gym. That wasn't in the old one. And so we had to add stuff like that because people reach out to me with facility stuff, and there's kind of some cost to that. This also allows us to make some partnerships with people using it. Like we've already had a partnership with the city for both Worthing and Lennox because of shared stuff. This could be developing a partnership with Miss Lane and doing that with her music stuff and doing stuff like that. But also when we can advertise stuff and do it that way, are we giving back for what our families are putting into somebody? Is there also a part of that that's giving back to the school too? I feel like that's a big piece, would you say, Mr. Shaw, that we want to see? So we have somebody investing in it. Are we also giving back to the school to enhance some other things that we may have? But yeah, the big trigger was just a few things of language in here, and just where does it stop and where does it end, versus just whether Shaw or I or somebody saying no when there wasn't a clear kind of cut.
And I also felt like if we're going to suspend the weight room use, we're going to suspend everything while we go through the policy so it's fair and equitable for everybody. So that's all it was.
I think it's important so that there's a lot of people that spoke very passionately, and I appreciate that it had nothing to do specifically with one person. She has a lot of fans, including a lot of us that are up here, so I appreciate that, and I'm glad we got to the point where we can discuss it and talk about what we hope that looks like moving forward.
Yeah, it's never my intent to take anything away from kids, but at the same time we have to operate under policy because that's what policy states. So, I knew we'll get to a resolution and it'll be fine. It wasn't driven off of strictly music lessons. It really wasn't.
So just to be clear, this policy will give you guys the changes that you need to build a better structure, to be able to maintain the facilities fair and equitable for everybody. Subsequently, it is.
But it also gives us some power to say no to certain groups. Whereas the old policy would be, hey, a group comes in, an outside entity who has nothing to do with the district, do we have the true power to say no for them to use it? And then are they making money, or then they taking that money and using it for an outside entity versus it giving back to the students? Like I'll use our after prom, for example. Like they're running a thing here, and that money's going back to our students. Or is this, I hate to use example, some Sioux Falls entity comes down, takes the Lennox kids' money, and then it's going back to there where we don't, as a community, benefit from that very well. This kind of cleans that up a little bit, but also allows people to develop partnerships and sponsorships and stuff like that too that can help benefit our schools.
So I'll use music as an example with piano lessons. Could we build some sort of a contract with Joy that money really funds into a scholarship fund and then it funds back to the kids instead of just $100 rent? And we're not after that.
How much, like, for example, for like her fee, like, what did that change?
So if we had a partnership, we could waive her fee, and then it would just have to be some transparency. So she'd have to be like, yep, I'm meeting with these kids here at this time, here's what we're charging, and then we come to an agreement on what a fair partnership would be. And that would involve Angela Shaw and myself. So you have 3 people versus just one person to make that decision. A good example would be, let's say she's charging $10, or anybody is. Somebody's doing a lesson for $10. They say, hey, I'll get $2 of every lesson that I do. That goes towards this program. So then we're giving back a little bit for the time that they're giving too. As the Joy Lane thing is, maybe she's giving back to our music boosters too. Or we start like a scholarship part, and that type of piece. Because we don't, the rental fee is more for an outside group that's coming in. Like, we have to have a rental fee to the pack because it takes certain trained people to use the lights, to use music, to do all that. But also certain events we have to have hourly fees too because there are custodial costs in those elements. So that's a lot of it when it comes down to that too. But also we want some power of who are the people that we're letting use our stuff too. Whether that's a district employee or whoever. But it creates a little bit of responsibility part too and transparency part that allows, so if somebody comes to me and says, hey, so-and-so's doing lessons, and I can have that person's back now and be like, here's what they're doing, here's what they're charging, but here's what they're giving back. And here's why them doing it is a big benefit to our kids and to our school. And that's the transparency part that's kind of been missing that allows this policy to have a bit more of.
Wasn't there a degree too that we took, like insurance or liability? This also played into allowing this.
Yeah, so
Right.
some groups would have to have that policy stuff. So if somebody gets hurt in something, are they able to cover it, or is it all falling on us? So that's part of it too, where if it's a partner, it's a little more of a negotiation that we can help if it's an educational more standpoint too. If it's somebody who's coming in and using a gym and a kid breaks their leg, who's liable? And that type of element too. So it really depends. That's that partnership type of element too that has to be worked out.
Our finances then for piano lessons and anything else, are they ran directly through the school, or do they go through, in this case, Joy, and then they go to the school and then kind of go from there?
I think it really depends on what element it is. Joy might just be that partner that we have, and Joy says, hey, I have these kids, here's what I'm charging, and she writes up her check maybe, I mean, she can even name it too if she wants to. And I know she's easy to talk about because she was the one that a lot of people spoke about, so it's a nice thing. She may have the Joy Lane Foundation, and she's donating to the school that goes to, hey, I'd really like this to go to a music scholarship to a kid who's done. Maybe it adds up to be $500. So you can see that impact of the music lessons, not only in the kids in the moment that she has, giving that lesson, but also a future in the program too. Or it goes to the choir program. And maybe that's the future kid that's playing piano for Mr. Covey on a concert and stuff like that too. So there's a little more of that impact piece. But then it also allows us to be like, hey, here's where we can see of what's being funnelized through our building and how our taxpayer dollars that are paying for each one of these facilities is being used by somebody who's, it's not part of our curriculum or district activities, that outside element. Also, it's somebody doing like a basketball lesson. Is it going through their trust and agency? And then is it them paying themselves where it's me signing off, Angela signing off, Shaw signing off? Whereas are they using their platform in that standpoint, those kids coming? Because I'll use it, like Quail does a great summer program for girls basketball. And I paid the $100 for Sloan to go do it. But should it go through, since he's a district employee, should it go through the district channels? They should be able to still pay themselves for the time that they're committing. But there should be some type of transparency and guidance to that. Because, and I'll come from Sioux Falls, and I'll use my Sioux Falls brain on this, is in Sioux Falls you couldn't do anything like this. You could do a camp, but you could pay yourself like 20 or 30 bucks an hour. And that's more of the time we want to be able to give more, but also what rate do we go if somebody comes in and is making a whole bunch of money off of our kids and using their platform, is what becomes too much? And then does there become a tax issue at all? And now does that get the school district wrapped up into it? So there's just those types of liability stuff too for our school to help monitor.
Any additional questions, or, I think before we run our down as a board, we're setting our policy now and let them open up those partnerships and do those contracts properly, as opposed to what we had before, so.
I just wanna make sure that people understand that was not anything that anybody did. It had nothing to do with that. It was more, it was just very in-depth, and it was just easier to pause everything at once.
Appreciate it. Any additional questions or comments, board? Otherwise, I think we're good. Let's vote.
Jen,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Heidi,
Yes.
Renee,
Yes.
Nick, Melissa,
Yes.
Scott.
Yes. Alright, action item is to approve the combined election agreement with Lincoln County. Entertain a motion to approve that election agreement. Have a first?
Second.
Second, Jen. Any questions or discussion on this combined election?
Still waiting on Minnehaha and Turn and the contracts, but Lincoln wanted these back before we have another meeting, so we will approve this, and it only applies if we end up having an election, so you're good to
Did you approve
this.
it?
Yep.
Okay. Any clarification on that? Alright, let's vote.
Jordan,
Yes.
Heidi.
Yes.
Renee.
Yes.
Nick.
Yes.
Melissa.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Jen.
Yes.
Alright, action item I, is to approve new substitutes and volunteers for workers' compensation, Sandra, Connor, and Julie, and Zachary. Entertain a motion to approve those four.
So moved.
You have a first,
Second.
a second, I'm not gonna slaughter the last name, so.
Come on.
Any questions or discussion on that? Otherwise, let's vote.
Heidi.
Yes.
Renee. Yes. Nick.
Yes.
Melissa.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Jen.
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Alright, action item J, is to approve the 2025 totally kids rates, registration fee at $35, and the weekly rates and daily rates in there. Entertain a motion to approve the 2025 totally kids rate. 2026. Sorry.
There's no change from last year.
And with no change.
So,
The first,
Second.
and a second, questions or discussion? Alright, let's vote.
Renee.
Yes.
Nick.
yes.
Melissa.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Jen.
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Heidi.
Yes.
Alright, we're removing K out of the agenda this evening. So action item L is to approve declaration of surplus items, the old white football game jerseys. Entertain a motion to approve that declaration.
So moved.
Have a first,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Jen,
Second.
second by Jordan. Alright, any questions or discussion on those old jerseys?
No, Mr.
Alright.
Flanagan wants to sell them, so.
I don't know if I'm allowed to talk or not, I haven't read the proceeding, but basically the jerseys, in my opinion, they're worth something now, but 2 or 3 years down the road, because they were the ones worn in the state championship game the last couple of years, in a couple of years, they probably won't be worth as much money, because the nostalgia will wear off, and they'll be basically just given away or rotting or thrown away.
And football's an expensive sport. This helps both district activities, but also helps our football program and our 80 kids that we have out help.
What? Oh, how much? Suggestion would be $50 a jersey.
It helps, yeah, because like, we're not gonna use them, we purchase new whites, we're purchasing new blacks, but this just helps give back to the district.
Some will be worth $100.
So you're just gonna give like first dibs to the kids.
To the kids that won in the state
Right,
championship
yeah.
games, so I'll give them, and then after that, it'll be open after that, to everybody. And basically, I think the agreement was to, you know, kind of split it, and also some of this money will be paid for camps. I mean, one of the biggest camps we go to is the Husker camp, and between this and other ways, it's about $200 per kid. And between the Booster Club pays for some, and then we fundraise for some, and this would help offset that. It's, with 50 kids going times 200, it's a pretty big expense, and also for parents. I might not seem that much, but $200 adds up. When you got 2 or 3 kids doing 2 or 3 different activities, trying to get that cost as minimal as possible too. So, something, a unique way to raise some money, squeeze some parents for a few more dollars. Good graduation present. Okay, and that's fine.
All right, let's vote.
Nick.
Yes.
Melissa.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Jen.
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Heidi. Renee. Yes.
All right, that ends the action items for this evening. Move on to discussion items. Review the new work agreements. Jada Severson for kindergarten education and Gracie Postma for preschool aid. Any questions or discussion on those work agreements?
Jada Severson would be a special ed educational
Special.
assistant.
Oh, yeah.
In the kindergarten room, maybe.
In the kindergarten. What special education?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Any additional discussion on that for anyone? No? All right, then discussion item B is to review open enrollments, which looks like there's 3. Want to touch on those?
One coming in with Brandon Valley. They already have kids in the district, so you have to take that child consciously. There's one from T. Open Worthing, and then the sibling will be in kindergarten next year. This will be from T.
So 2 of them are starting now, one is until next year.
All right, then, nothing else. Entertain a motion to move into executive session for South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-21, discussing the qualifications, competence, and performance, character, or fitness of a public officer. South Dakota Codified Law 1-22-2.
It's 25.
Oh, it is 25 still. But okay, 1-25-2, 3, consulting with legal counsel, reviewing communication from legal counsel about proposed or pending litigation or contractual matters, and South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-24, preparing for contract negotiations and negotiating with employees or employee representatives. Entertain a motion to move into executive.
So.
First by Heidi.
Second.
Second by Jen. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Move in.
I'm not gonna stay on this meeting for some reason. So I need you to keep track of the
Okay. We're in the middle.
I need to know when we come out of executive session. And then we adjourn versus.
I should practice.
kids. You're really in a big rush to pick up those kids, aren't you?
We're
Yeah.
talking throwing desks.
Is this on the desk? You know, work by performance? Yes. Just on the desk?
Oh, that's great, great.
So do you think maybe bigger or smaller?
Smaller? I can really get small. I mean, it wasn't big, but that doesn't bother me. Yeah.
It's 43 degrees, so fun.
It's cold enough Angela started dealing over it for lunch.
I didn't realize it was 50 degrees outside.
Are you? You don't go in there? You don't go in there for this one?
They're doing his evaluation. And they're just not.
40 pounds. I'll probably do that, or we'll see tomorrow. You do? Oh, you got fire from here.
Yeah, all right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, you too.
Night, night, thank you. You got it?
Yeah.
I left the Oreo.
Yeah.
Good interpretation.
We got an email today about workforce development.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Let's give that yawn to y'all. So tired.
Bedtime? Don't forget your cards.
You what? You can use the restroom.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, you too.